How to avoid Salmonella in eggs? Salmonella is a bacterium that can be present both on the shell and inside the egg, and can cause severe symptoms such as fever, vomiting, and diarrhea. Studies show that storing, handling, and cooking eggs makes all the difference in maintaining food safety. Therefore, knowing exactly how to handle eggs is essential to prevent this bacteria from harming your health. For starters, avoid washing eggs before storing them in the refrigerator. This may seem counterintuitive, but the washing process can remove the shell's natural protection, increasing the chance that bacteria will enter the egg. Also, always store eggs in the coldest part of the refrigerator and not in the door, where temperature variations are frequent. Another important tip: cook the eggs thoroughly. High temperature is able to kill Salmonella, so no undercooked eggs. And remember to always thoroughly sanitize your hands, utensils, and surfaces after handling raw eggs. No matter how tasty the liquid yolk is, this type of preparation can expose you to a high risk of contamination by Salmonella bacteria. Salmonella, an extremely resistant bacterium, requires high temperatures to be eliminated completely, which is only achieved when the egg is fully cooked. When the yolk remains soft, it does not reach the heat needed to kill the bacteria, which can survive and be ingested. For those who like the yolk less cooked, it is important to understand that the risk of Salmonella infection increases considerably. The bacteria can cause severe symptoms such as vomiting, severe diarrhea, and high fever, which in some cases can lead to hospitalizations and even more serious complications, especially in children, the elderly, and people with weakened immune systems. Always prefer to cook the egg until the yolk is completely firm. This simple measure creates an effective barrier against Salmonella and ensures that the food is safe for the whole family. It may be present in approximately 1 in every 20,000 eggs. Although this number seems low, the effects of a Salmonella infection can be serious and even dangerous, especially for vulnerable groups such as children, the elderly, and people with weakened immune systems. How to handle and store eggs safely. The correct handling and storage of eggs is crucial to avoid contamination by Salmonella, a bacterium that can cause serious health problems. Here are practical and detailed tips to ensure the safety of using eggs. Refrigerator storage. Prioritize safety. Keeping eggs refrigerated is one of the best ways to reduce the risk of Salmonella contamination, as the bacteria multiply more slowly at low temperatures. Storing them in the refrigerator, preferably on a central shelf where the temperature is more constant, is essential. Avoid the refrigerator door, as frequent opening and closing causes temperature variations that can weaken the shell, making it easier for bacteria to enter. In addition, the recommendation to store eggs at a temperature of up to 4 degrees Celsius helps prevent the growth of Salmonella if it is present. In countries where pasteurization of eggs is less common, refrigerated storage is especially important to maintain safety. Avoid cases of cross-contamination. Insulation is important. Keep eggs separate from other foods, especially those that are eaten raw, such as fruits, salads, and breads. Use egg containers and, if possible, store them away from ready-to-eat foods. This prevents contact between the shell and food that will not be cooked, which could transfer bacteria from the shell to the food. In addition, whenever handling raw eggs, wash your hands and the utensils used thoroughly before touching other foods. Cross-contamination can even occur through knives, bowls, and cutting boards that have had contact with the shell or the inside of the egg. Attention to the shell. Check the integrity of the eggs. Eggs with cracks in the shell are more likely to allow bacteria to enter. Always inspect eggs before storing them. If any eggs have cracks or breaks, discard them immediately, or if you need to use them, cook them thoroughly to eliminate the risk of Salmonella. The shell acts as a natural barrier, and when compromised, protection against bacteria is lost. Rotation and consumption. Beware of validity. Just like other foods, eggs also have a shelf life. Even though Salmonella can be prevented with careful handling, eggs can deteriorate over time. Store them according to the date of purchase and organize them to use the oldest ones first. Consume them before the expiration date indicated on the package and avoid storing eggs for long periods, even in the refrigerator. To check the freshness of the egg, you can do the float test. Put the egg in a glass with water. If it sinks and lies on the bottom, it is fresh. If it floats, it means that air has accumulated inside the shell, indicating that it is no longer so fresh and that it may be starting to deteriorate. It is recommended to consume fresh eggs to minimize any risk. Constant cooling. Avoid variable temperatures. Eggs should be kept refrigerated all the time after being placed in the refrigerator. Avoid leaving them at room temperature for prolonged periods, as this facilitates bacterial growth. An important tip is, when transporting eggs from the market home, keep a thermal bag to reduce heat exposure, especially on hot days. The truth about washing or not washing eggs before storing them. A common question when dealing with raw eggs is whether or not we should wash them before storing them in the refrigerator. While the intention is to remove visible dirt and bacteria, washing eggs can actually increase the risk of Salmonella contamination, and here's why. The natural protection of the peel. The cuticle. The eggshell is not only a physical barrier, it also has a natural layer called the cuticle, which is a protective film that covers the egg right after laying. This layer helps prevent bacteria from entering and protects the inside of the egg from pathogens. When you wash the egg, this film can be removed, leaving the egg more vulnerable to contamination. The cuticle plays a crucial role in the safety of the egg, and by washing the egg, you undermine this natural protection. Even if the egg appears to be clean on the outside, removing this layer can allow bacteria, such as Salmonella, to penetrate more easily through the shell. The risk of contamination during washing. In addition to removing the protective shell layer, washing eggs can also spread bacteria to other surfaces. When washing an egg, there may be splashes of contaminated water which in turn can contaminate other food or kitchen utensils. This is known as cross-contamination and can be fatal, especially if the correct cleaning and sanitizing procedure is not followed. If the water you use to wash your eggs is not warm enough, it can even help bacteria stick more easily to the eggshell. Cold water, for example, can cause the pores of the shell to open, allowing bacteria to infiltrate. The exception, when washing eggs is necessary. Although the general recommendation is not to wash eggs before storing them, there are situations where you may need to wash them. If an egg is visibly dirty or with dirt adhering to the shell, it is acceptable to wash it, but only when it is time to use it and not before storing it in the refrigerator. In case you decide to wash an egg, use warm water around 20 to 25 degrees, neither cold nor hot, to prevent the pores from opening, and wash it with a soft brush to remove dirt without damaging the shell. Then dry it thoroughly before using it, as moisture can also accelerate the growth of bacteria. But again, avoid washing eggs before storing them unless absolutely necessary, and prefer to do this only at the time of preparing them. The role of personal hygiene and utensils. When you handle eggs, especially raw ones, always wash your hands with soap and water immediately after contact. Hygiene is a key part of preventing shell bacteria from contaminating other foods. Utensils and kitchen surfaces should also be well sanitized whenever they come into contact with raw eggs. Also, don't leave dirty eggs on the countertop or open surfaces, as this can contribute to the spread of germs and increase the chances of cross-contamination. The ideal is to store them immediately in the refrigerator after purchase, and avoid leaving them exposed to environments with dust or dirt. What do experts say about washing eggs? Health organizations such as the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, and the United States Food and Drug Administration, FDA, recommend that eggs not be washed before storage. They warn that washing can damage the protective layer and increase the risk of contamination, especially if it is not carried out properly. These bodies advise washing only when preparing the egg and always with extra care. The most common mistakes that increase the risk of Salmonella contamination. Although Salmonella is a known bacterium, many make simple mistakes in handling and preparing eggs that increase the risk of contamination. Below, we'll explore these mistakes and how to avoid them, so you can protect your health and that of your family. Consume raw or undercooked eggs. One of the most common and most dangerous mistakes is the consumption of raw or undercooked eggs. Eggs with a soft yolk in particular do not reach the temperature necessary to eliminate Salmonella, which needs heat above 70 degrees Celsius to be eradicated. The risk of eating eggs raw or with the soft yolk is high, especially in recipes such as homemade mayonnaise, egg-based sauces, and some types of desserts. Salmonella, if present, can cause symptoms of food poisoning such as diarrhea, vomiting, fever, and abdominal cramps, which can last for 24 to 48 hours. In more severe cases, especially in people with compromised immunity, Infection can lead to serious complications and even hospitalization. To ensure that eggs are free of salmonella, always cook them until the yolk is completely firm. Eggs cooked for at least 10 minutes are ideal, as they reach an internal temperature that eliminates any risk of contamination. Storing eggs outside the refrigerator for a long time. Another common mistake is leaving eggs out of the refrigerator for long periods, which creates an environment conducive to the growth of bacteria. Salmonella multiplies rapidly at temperatures above 4 degrees Celsius, and when eggs are left at room temperature, especially on hot days, the risk of contamination increases considerably. So always store eggs in the refrigerator right after purchase, and keep them at a temperature below 4 degrees Celsius. The refrigerator should be the safest environment for eggs, as cold slows down bacterial growth. Do not leave them on the refrigerator door, as there the temperature varies with the opening and closing of the door. The center shelf is the best option. Buying eggs with cracked or damaged shells. Another crucial mistake is buying or consuming eggs with cracked or damaged shells. Cracks in the shell compromise the egg's natural protective barrier, allowing bacteria, such as Salmonella, to enter more easily. This can occur during transportation or when the egg is handled improperly. Before buying, inspect each egg carefully to make sure there are no cracks or breaks. If any eggs are damaged, discard them immediately or cook them completely. Avoid using cracked eggs for raw or undercooked dishes, as safety cannot be guaranteed in this case. Do not wash your hands after handling raw eggs. Cross-contamination is one of the biggest risks when it comes to raw eggs. When you handle eggs, Salmonella can be present on the shell or inside the egg, even if the egg looks clean. Not washing your hands after touching raw eggs is a serious mistake that can lead to the transfer of bacteria to other foods or preparation surfaces. Always wash your hands thoroughly with soap and water for at least 20 seconds after handling raw eggs. Not only that, but clean and disinfect utensils and surfaces, such as cutting boards, knives, and containers, that have come into contact with raw eggs to prevent the spread of bacteria. Skip the expiration date or store eggs for long periods. Many people make the mistake of not checking the expiration date on eggs, or storing them for extended periods. Expired eggs may have a higher risk of spoilage and contamination, even if they are stored in the refrigerator. In addition, eggs lose quality over time and can begin to deteriorate, making them more susceptible to bacterial contamination. Always check the expiration date on the packaging before buying or consuming eggs. Consume them before the deadline, and in case you have eggs stored for a long time, perform the freshness test by placing them in a glass with water. If the egg sinks and lies on the bottom, it is fresh. If it floats, it is better to discard it. Not following good hygiene practices in the kitchen. Improper hygiene in the kitchen can lead to cross-contamination and increase the risk of Salmonella infection. Keeping utensils and surfaces clean is key to preventing bacteria from spreading from one food to another. Even when eggs are handled properly, a lack of cleanliness care can make food dangerous. Always clean work surfaces and utensils with hot water and detergent, and use appropriate kitchen disinfectants. Don't forget to wash your hands thoroughly before you start preparing food and after handling raw eggs. If you found this content useful, be sure to share it with friends and family so that everyone can benefit from this essential information. Your health is the most precious asset, and together we can avoid unnecessary risks. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Stay tuned for the next videos, and keep following the channel for more tips on health and wellness. Your health is our priority.